Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Mendon and Uxbridge. And this morning we're going to have a special service for our summer solstice, hosted by Leslie Cape and Peter Coffin. And we're going to start this morning with a song called In the Good Old Summertime to Ring in Summer by George Evans.
Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Congregation of Mendon and Uxbridge. Thank you for joining us this morning, whether you're here in person in the sanctuary with us or joining us online. We're coming together this morning to celebrate the summer solstice. And of course, it's also Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to everyone. And this is now our third time coming together to celebrate the changing seasons, winter, spring, and now summer, with music, readings, and reflections. Some opening words about the summer solstice. We come together this morning as celebrants, as seekers, and companions. We enter into this, the longest day, joyfully, allowing ourselves the beauty of this time together, in which we may rest our cares and sorrows, and allow our hearts and spirits to be filled and uplifted. I invite you to take a deep breath, drink in the beauty and community that surrounds you in this place, and as you release it, become centered in the new. This morning's chalice lighting is entitled Let There Be Light by Adam Pecula. Let there be light, the light of joy, the light of happiness, and the light of contentment. May it illuminate our paths and fill our lives with peace. And let there be dark, for it is from our dark places that we are brought forward, tried and tested, and impelled towards growth. It is in these places that we realize compassion and learn to love. And there was day and there was night, and there was joy and there was sorrow, and it was good. I'd like to invite everyone to join in our unison affirmation at this point. If you feel called to rise, please do so and recite our affirmation with me. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you. And our next selection this morning is entitled Summer Song.
Welcome. My name is Peter Coffin. Proud to stand up here in the pulpit in this church. And our great claim to fame, of course, is Aiden Ballou. But another great claim is Andrew Pecula, who wrote the opening words today. He was an intern here 15, 20 years ago, went on to England, and is making great strides in an international setting in his writing and his spirit. So we're kind of proud to have him, thinking that this was his minor league first opening session. So another announcement is we will be having candles of joy and concern. So please send it in via chat. Those who are present in here can come forth and light a candle. So this is Meditations in the Four Directions by Julia Hamilton. In the pagan tradition, which is grounded in a respect and reverence for the natural world, calling upon the four directions is the usual way to begin any ceremony. Each direction is associated with an element of the natural world and represents some part of our human nature as well. The directions are not seen as separate and isolated, but rather as part of the interdependent system that makes up the world. Here on our altar, we have the symbolic elements for each direction, and we will travel through the meetings associated with each direction before entering into a time of meditation. This church is oriented north-south. Altar's on the north, you come in on the south, facing the sun. Many reasons why that is. A little bit cooler, but symbolic reasons as well. But I digress. We begin in the east, toward the rising sun. The element of the east is air, represented on our altar by a feather. Air and breath give us life. It is the direction of inspiration, the word that literally means to take in air. The east is associated with the mind, with knowledge and learning, and intellectual curiosity. Imagine the birds turning and wheeling in the air. Imagine the breeze blowing through your hair. Turning toward the east, we look for a fresh start, an invigorating breath, a new idea. When you are feeling stuck in a rut, beholden to a routine, or if the wind has gone out of your sails, look eastward. East is air. We move around the wheel to the south. The element of the south is fire. And in the southern place on our altar, the flame of our chalice burns bright. Fire is a transformative force. It is heat and light and powerful change. In the northern hemisphere, it makes sense that we associate the south towards the equator with the warmth of the sun and the heat of the flame. We see birds move south, butterflies move south, whales move south, seeking warmer places when the weather gets cold. When our internal weather gets cold, turning south is a metaphor for turning toward warmth and daylight, seeking out the changes that will warm us up, get our blood moving, call us out of our winters, out of hibernation, and into action. Continuing around the circle, we arrive in the west. The element of the west is water. And next week, we're going to have a flower collection. Sometimes we'll do a water collection where people bring, so the symbolism of water. And that will be collected at our in-gathering services in September. We add to this water each year, symbolizing the way we come together in our community as individual drops join into a mighty river. In the West, we are drawn into the experience of our emotions. It is a direction that calls us to self-reflection and self-understanding. Our emotions move in us like water, flowing through our lives, sometimes calm and sometimes turbulent, but always flowing. When we dam up our feelings, just like when we dam up a river, the pressure builds until it finds an outlet. If you are seeking to get in touch with your inner life, with your emotions, turn towards the west. We move now towards the north. The element of the north is earth, represented here by some dirt from our very own garden. There is stability here, the ground of our being. The north represents the place that holds us, that allows us time and space to heal and grow, to feel nurtured and respected. It is also the place of embodiment, of connecting with our physical self, with the concrete, tangible world around us. The North calls to you if you are seeking balance, the deep wisdom that lives in your bones, a place of rest and recovery. We have moved through these 4 directions, giving them shape and meaning. East is air, breath, and inspiration. South is fire, transformation, and action. West is water, feeling, and reflection. North, earth, balance, and wisdom. Now I invite you to turn towards the direction that calls to you today. You can stay in your seat, you can stand, you can turn your head or your whole body, but orient yourself towards the one of the directions, the element that speaks to you and your life right now. And when I ring the bowl gong, we will enter into 2 minutes of silent meditation. Is that what we're going to do? No, don't have the bowl gong. So, Ken picked that one. So let us spend 30 seconds facing in the direction that you feel need. South, east for inspiration, south for action, west for reflection, or north for wisdom. Okay, we're going to cut that short. So, hymn number 2. Thank you, Lea, for a beautiful rendition of a song I've never heard before, Sunset, and it says the author is Amy's Army. Amy's Army. Thank you, Amy's Army. For the children's story today, we have Grandmother Spider Brings the Light. When the earth was first made, it was very dark, and the animals were afraid. One day, Bera said, "I have seen light on the other side of the world, but the people will not share. Perhaps we could steal some for ourselves." The others thought this was a splendid idea and started to discuss who should go first. "I'll go," said Fox. Fox went and stole a piece of light in his mouth. But it was so hot it burned his mouth and he dropped it, and the fox still has a black mouth to this day. His tongue's probably black, right? Or maybe the whole inside. Possum tried next. He wrapped the light in his tail and tried to drag it back, but it was too hot and he dropped it. That is why no possum has fur on its tail. Crow said, "Let me try," and he went off to steal the light. But when he got close, it singed all of his feathers and he turned black. He was so afraid, he ran away. Crows are still black today, right? Finally, Grandmother Spider said, "I will go." When she reached the light, she was surprised by how hot it was. She thought of a plan and began to spin and spin with her silky web. Soon she had enough for a bag. She approached the light and, quick as a flash, tucked the light into her bag. When she got back, the animals were triumphant. "Hooray for Grandmother Spider," they all shouted. Grandmother Spider was happy to give them the light. "We should hang the light in the sky so all can be warmed by it," she said. The other animals thought that too was a good idea, but how to get it in the sky? "I will go," said Vulture. He took the bag of light and put it on his head. It was hot, but he could stand it. He flew higher and higher, and the bag got hotter and hotter. He climbed higher, and his feathers turned black. Still higher, and the feathers on his head burned off. Still higher, and his head turned red. At the last possible second, he threw the light into the sky as hard as he could, and the sun hung bright and beautiful, warming all the land. It's now time for our responsive reading. For those who have today's program, it's The Solstice Teaches Us by David Breeden. I'll read the bold and we'll read together the italics. The solstices teach us that darkness comes, that darkness goes. The solstices teach us that light comes, that light goes. The solstices teach us calmly, silently, to be calm, silent, learning. The solstices teach us as we circle the sun that everything flies. The solstices teach us to remember the dark, to remember the light, to remember time, the seasons, and love as we circle the sun. Now is the time for a call for an offering. We seek to be a generous community, lighting that one candle to beat back the darkness. It is in this spirit that our offertory is given and gratefully accepted. So we're going to jump on to reading too?
Yeah.
I'll get it.
Yep.
Yep. This is Summer is a Coomin' In. It's a medieval tune written 800 years ago. And it was traditionally around, but I'm going to try it on piano together.
Hello. Continuing on with our summer solstice theme, I'd like to share something that I wrote this myself. It's about the spiritual meaning of the summer solstice. So when we think of the summer solstice, sometimes we think of it as the beginning of summer, but it's also known as midsummer as well. So depending on traditions, it can either be observed as the middle of summer, with summer starting back at Beltane on May Day, or we can look at it as the beginning of summer as well. And so anyway, the summer solstice is upon us. Every year at this time in the northern hemisphere, the earth tilts its closest to the life-giving sun, which has reached its zenith, directly overhead, giving us the longest day of the year. During the solstice, the sun is at its greatest distance from the earth's equator, traveling its longest path through the sky, marking the first day of summer and giving us light into the evening hours. This year, the summer solstice occurs on Sunday, June 20th, so today, later tonight at 11:32 p.m. Eastern Time. This point marks the second phase of the Earth's journey around the sun, which starts with the spring equinox. Energetically, it is very parallel to the first quarter moon, which signifies a time to nourish the seeds planted in the first phase. In Latin, solstice means sun standing still. For about 3 days at this time, the sun appears to stop in its tracks. In truth, its relative position to the Earth changes very little, hence this illusion. From our vantage point in the northern hemisphere, the sun is finishing its northbound journey and moving southward, treating us to the lushness of summer. For more than 5,000 years, people have marked this moment, recognizing the power in aligning with the annual phases of the sun and honoring its path. Building monuments like Karnak in Egypt and Stonehenge in England, where at the latter, when the sun's first light breaks through the darkness on the day of the summer solstice, it hits this ancient monument directly in the center, lighting up each pillar like a magical horseshoe. What made these points in time so significant that people dedicated their whole lives building something to honor them? The cycle of the sun represents the cycle of our lives and reflects the natural flow of energy inward and outward. There are times to grow, times to pause, times to shed, and times to learn. Of course, in current day, we understand that what we're really aligning with is the movement of the earth, not the sun, but it is still a powerful cycle to honor. While the spring equinox begins this journey and represents new beginnings, the summer solstice represents the next step of this divine rhythm. The summer solstice always coincides with the sign of Cancer. At the solstice, the sun appears to pass directly over the Tropic of Cancer. This is the moment when astrologers say that the sun has entered Cancer, meaning that it's now traveling through the part of the zodiac band represented by the astrological crab. And we can definitely anticipate a shift in the energy. Cancer is a cardinal zodiac sign. Like Aries in the spring, Libra in the fall, and Capricorn in the winter. These are the signs that fall at the beginning of the seasons. These are the turning points of the zodiac wheel that instigate with motivation to take action. And in the case of Cancer, with the inclination to seek out security and find our place of belonging. The summer solstice reminds us to turn inward and find the nourishment needed to grow and evolve. It is a time to pause and wait for the energy planted in the spring to reach full bloom. If the spring represents action, the summer represents patience. We must develop trust and confidence in ourselves that what we set in motion previously is correct, even if we go through some troubled times. Our course is set at this point, and we just need to nurture it and find purpose within its process. The summer solstice represents the transition from action to nourishment, which is exactly what the sun gives us during the long days of summer, both to our actual crops and to the continual journey we travel from darkness to light. Summer reminds us that there is hope in the world, that the light within can spread to the far reaches of the globe and inspire others. We can nurture others just as the sun nurtures us. Summer becomes a time to work on ourselves and our ability to be the light and find meaning in our journey, even when it seems uncertain. There is the rhythm of nature, new beginnings transition into a period of uncertainty. During this time, it is easy to fall prey to anxiety and worry. Big shifts cause old energies to surface, and darkness can easily take over our mind. Summer is the time to develop our faith in life, squash the darkness with light, and trust that just like the sun, we will rise each day no matter what life brings us. Through honoring this day of light, we energetically set in motion a period of awakening in our consciousness, which lasts all summer until the fall equinox. The summer solstice is a precise planetary moment when the Earth reaches its most direct tilt into the sun's golden, blazing rays. It's not a day or time like the New Year, which is celebrated at various times throughout the day as the Earth rotates through its time zones. The solstice happens at an exact moment, the same moment everywhere on Earth. It reminds us that we're part of a global community and connects us, if only for a moment, to everyone on Earth. At this time, I would like to read our meditation. It's entitled Making Room for All That Is by Lynn Cox. Spirit of life, ancestor of the stars and sun, you who embrace the vastness of space and with us along with it, be with us today. Hold us in our worry, our exhaustion, our grief. Keep us close as we sit with our truth, whatever that may be. Lead us to rest in the quiet, to find solace and renewal in this time of shifting light and dark. You whose arms open with the spinning galaxies, help us to make room as you do for all that is. Open our hearts to our loved ones, our neighbors, the beings with whom we share this planet. Lead us to reach out to others in compassion. Turn us towards one another in mercy, right relationship, and reconciliation. You who have seen the rising and setting of suns, of seasons, of civilizations, remind us of all that we have learned from the history of the world and from our own histories. Give us the courage to face our mistakes and to repair them whenever possible. Help us understand our interdependence, our gravitational relatedness with all of the other spinning lives around us, and lead us to treat those relationships with care. In this space filled with people among us who shine like stars, this space filled with the sparkle of love and care, we give thanks for this moment to be together. May our senses be open to the beauty of this day, this season, this world. We continue our contemplation in silence. Amen and blessed be. Now we would like to invite, if anyone in the sanctuary here would like to come up and light a candle of joy and concern, and if anybody has them online, we will light them, if any came in online. No? Who would like to come up? Marsha.
I'd like to light a candle of joy that my husband's out of the hospital after 9 days.
Yay.
He had a terrible bicycle crash, and it's a good thing he was wearing a helmet. I have to give propers to the UMass Memorial Medical Center in Worcester because they brought him back from the brink, and he's now walking around, and he's pretty much back to normal. Cantankerous, but he's back to normal.
Anyone else?
Well, one candle, and we'll make it Father's Day. To all the fathers, my father was born on March 20th. I was born on July 20th. Well, the one story my father said, he went to school, and the teacher said, well, when is the spring solstice? And my father said, March 20th, my birthday. Teacher said, no, summer solstice is, the spring solstice is March 21st. Okay, leap year, maybe not. July 20th.
It changes every year.
It changes. So astrologically, they'll say Cancer is 20th to 22nd. So I'm a cusp. And I guess I have to figure out the year in 1957. Was that a Cancer? Am I part Cancer with that? Ellen, we don't need to
We'll
go
talk
there.
about it later.
We'll talk about that later. But it's all about the weather. You ask about the weather winter. That begins December 1st, December, January, February. So it's all about dates. And in the old days when you didn't have calendars, you looked to the wise people. People looked at the stars to tell you when you should plant your... So, amen to the solstice. And fathers.
You're on the other side now.
I know. You know you love a community when you come in on your day.
Yes.
Two candles this morning. One, I don't have all the details, but Leslie texted me that Sonya Bouchard fell, and that's why she's not here this morning, because Ken took her to the emergency room. So I want to light a candle for Sonya.
You beat me to that one.
Okay. Well, do you have more details you'd like?
No, that's all I really know as well,
Okay.
just what you said
Okay.
as well. So just, thoughts to her and the whole Bouchard family that everything's okay. I guess she was being a bit stubborn about going.
Oh, okay. Yes, healing thoughts to you, Sonya. And the other candle is for our neighbors, the Hobarths, who live right there across the street on Elm Street, John and Gloria. I had a lovely visit with them this week, and they actually have a long connection with the church. They were married in this church, and they graduated from Mendon High School back in the day, and they had their high school graduation in this church. And they came on Christmas Eve, and they're just a lovely couple. And, Gloria also realized the church steeple had been hit by lightning in the 1930s when she was a little girl. And the windows were all glowing red, and she said to her mother, "Why are the windows looking like Christmas over at the church?" And she discovered this. She was an eyewitness to this account of the steeple being on fire by lightning in the 1930s, which I thought was amazing. So anyway, two candles for them. One is that they are celebrating their 69th wedding anniversary this week. So congratulations to them and celebrating their love. And the other candle is for Gloria, because she is in a lot of pain, and so it's very hard for her to move around. She did say that if we get the hearing assisted devices that we've been talking about, that she hopes to come to a service sometime. For strength and comfort for her and her pain, and for the celebration of 69 years of wedded bliss. For John and Gloria, our neighbors. So, two candles. Also, a candle of thanks for those who are pinch hitting this morning, since the plan was not quite as it is, but those of you that have come forward to step up and take on more roles this morning, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else? All right, that's it. All right, so I do have a few announcements to make. Firstly, we are still collecting donations for the Milford Community Meals Program. There's a drop box in the entryway to the church. People can come on Sunday mornings when we're here, or call the church and make arrangements for someone to meet you to drop them off, and they greatly appreciate that. I believe they're looking right now for bottled water, especially breakfast items, things like that. Also, we will be having informal summers. We'll have one more service next week. Reverend Patricia will be back at the pulpit. And then after that, we'll be hosting some informal summer services, which I'm really looking forward to, because I'm going to get to be here for a couple of those. We'll probably have a discussion topic, and we'll meet up in Goss Hall and have some nice refreshments and whatnot and visit. So I look forward to people coming in and doing that and kind of just having a little more informal time together. That will be really nice. And coming up in August 1st, we will be having a service with our friends at Hopedale Unitarian Parish at our here at Unitarian Congregation of Mendon and Oxford. We'll be inviting them here, and then on August 22nd, they will be hosting us at at Hopedale Unitarian Parish. So really looking forward to coming together with some of our UU neighbors and getting to know them a little bit better. That will be really fun. And I think that's it for announcement.
Please bring a flower.
Oh yes, next week we will be having the flower communion service. So please bring a flower if you have some extra ones. It can be from your garden, it can be a wildflower, one you bought. If you want to bring some extra ones to share, definitely do. That'll be really nice to kind of conclude our church year with that service. And the closing words today are called Part as Parcel by Mark L. Bellatini. I am part of you, O truth unfolding. I am part of you. I am part of a cosmos. I cannot see either its edge or its end. How amazing. I am part of a galaxy of 1,000,000 billion stars. They say it's a pinwheel. How wonderful. I am part of a system of planets that swing around a small parent star. How strong the hands of invisible gravity must be to hold it all together just so. I am part of a planet green and blue, along with mountains and seas, sponges and spores, lichen and lava, robins and rain, periwinkles and perch, centipedes and cities. How great the variety. How astonishing the mutual dependence of it all. I am part of a species that belongs to a grouping of animals called Mammalia. And so is every other human being equally so. I am part of a political unit called a nation. There are many nations, each of them dear in many ways to its local citizens. I am part of a family with ethnicity, practice, and love in the form of food, rooted in the mountains of Emilia. Others know other roots, other practices. I am part of a circle of friends rooted not in ethnicity or food, but in simple redemptive love. I am part of a climate region, part of a state, part of a city, part of a neighborhood, part of a congregation, and part of a staff. And with you, I am part and parcel of this moment. This simple silence, which lasts but a few breaths and then is gone forever. But like the cosmos, galaxy, planet, species, nation, climate, city, neighborhood, family, and circle of friendship, it is precious and a present for which I give thanks. I'll now extinguish the chalice. And may its light burn on in our hearts. This morning's benediction is entitled, Let Us Bless This Earth by Eric Williams. Let us bless this earth and all that is steady and firm. Let us bless the sky and all that is open and filled with light. Let us bless this union, holy and without ceasing. Let us bless their children, the bounty of field and forest, stones, plants, animals, and all living things. May the gifts of the earth and sky strengthen, refresh, nourish, and heal the peoples of the earth. Amen, and blessed be. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone to join in the Serenity Prayer. And then we'll have our postlude. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And today's postlude is entitled Summer Song by Chad and Jeremy. Lea, take it away.
This fell off the piano, and this is really important. It's a piece of the ivory key. Can somebody tape it onto the piano? You can never